Oh, John's gonna love this next one.
So this next one, I call it the bigger pain. And this is
146.
Yeah, 146.
And why are you doing an Italian accent? I can't.
I happen
why.
to be married to a big pain.
Oh man,
And, from Rome.
That must be horrible, John.
It is
that
awful.
must be.
It is really hard. She's very spoiled. Part of my dumb thing is I'm like, you don't really love me, because he's like so like nitpicky and stuff like that. She's like, no, John, that's the way I am. You deal with this, you know.
The big hormone Enneagram.
Hi, I'm John Lukovich, sexual self-pres for the 5-wing 458 trifix.
Hi, I'm David Gray, self-pres sexual 9 with 1 974 trifix.
What up? It's Emeka. I'm an 8-wing 7, sexual self-pres with 854 fixes.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I am a self-pres social 3, wing 4, with a 369 trifix. If you like our podcast, guys, make sure you go like and subscribe us on the Apple Podcast app. And if you really like us, you should definitely leave us a review.
Oh, Nancy's yawning. Oh, she's so sleepy. Welcome to Big Hormone Enneagram. Today we are talking self-care in the Enneagram. Just kidding.
Real soft for Nancy.
Yeah, real soft for Nancy. Sleepy time for Nancy. We're back at our TRI-FIXATION series where we are roasting the trifixes, and we've done part 1 and part 2. Go ahead and listen at least to part 1 so you get a sense of what we're talking about, what categories we're applying to understanding the trifixes. Today we're going with the one fixers, which we have neglected to get to. But before we do, we got complaints from a DJ tri-type that we did not properly roast the DJ tri-type.
Oh, we're gonna do that. We're
doing that. So
we will always give you the abuse that you are looking for.
Yeah, you know, if you need,
Please, Daddy, give me more.
you love abuse and you love the Enneagram, you know, come to us and we will emotionally abuse you. So
yeah, that's give them what they need.
Conscious humiliation. So
well, if they pay, they can get more.
That is true.
That's true.
Premium level. Another level.
That's what our Patreon is for. That's what we offer on our Patreon.
You know, that would be amazing if somebody paid me to slap the shit out of them.
Oh, there are people who would pay you.
Oh man, that's okay. Yeah, we need
to get on FetLife.
Emeka's OnlyFans. So yeah, DJ tri-type. So we talked about how they want to raise the roof, and what we neglected to say about the DJ tri-type, which is 793 combinations, is that they don't take responsibility for shit.
Mm-hmm. I think we also mentioned that this is someone that might raise the roofie in your drink.
Yeah, they have a way of you know, 2 assertive types, but kind of softened by the 9. It means that they can do some sort of egregious shit, but have a way that it rolls off their back and they kind of charm other people out of it and don't take responsibility and kind of redeem themselves a little too quickly. And they can be very, like, seemingly naive, but they're very conscious of their manipulation.
Yes. I like to throw this in there. I don't know if he's for sure this trifix, but let's just say he is. Kevin Spacey, I think, might be a DJ trifix. You remember that when he put out that video of that he filmed in his kitchen?
Let me be Frank.
As Frank.
Fuck yeah.
After he was, you know, all these allegations of raping teenage boys and stuff, like the sort of balls and the sort of letting all that stuff roll off his back and not giving a fuck. He got away with all of it. This trifix is just so much fun and they're so easygoing and so likable that they could get away with things. There's another guy or an example in my life, Odie's friend, a comedian friend who was accused of a lot of weird shit. This guy would sneak into his ex-girlfriend's house and pee in her shoe. Stuff like that. But he was like the most charismatic, like comedian, type 739. And he got ran out of town here in Chicago because people found out what he was doing. But the whole time he just wouldn't take responsibility
if you imagine anybody at an EDM festival
Yes.
trying to grope you,
Yes.
they are
Yeah.
this tri-type.
There you go.
Would there be like, oh, I have a question because I think one of my exes is probably this tri-type. Well, but so here's my question. Would there be a whinier version of this type?
Definitely.
Yeah.
They can be whiny?
Yeah.
They're very bratty.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think
But
one of my
chill.
exes is this.
Got a friend from way back who's this tri-type SPSX 973, and he's just coasted his whole life. I mean, he's just gotten his parents to take care of everything. And whenever anybody tries to rag on him about having not worked his whole life or whatever, his dad was a doctor and stuff, and they've just taken care of him. His mom's a 2 enabler. So he just slips out of everything and just giggles, and that's it. And you forgive him. It's one of those deals.
I think this is the hot airhead trifix.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Airhead is perfect
or
for this
himbo.
guy.
Bimbo. Yes.
Himbo.
This guy is a total himbo.
My Laura has a friend who he's like fairly wealthy, and he runs this like festival in Costa Rica. And I was like, how did this goofball? He's a DJ, like literally a DJ. How did this fucking goofball run this festival? And yeah, he's a trust fund kid. But sort of,
Mhm.
he's got enough 3 in him where he's not a core 3, but he's got enough 3 in him where he can present this air of having succeeded on his own. But it turns out not so much.
There's also a literal exhibitionism with this
Yes.
Oh
combo.
yes,
Big
the
time.
nudist.
Nudist, hardcore. This guy, like when we all get together, our high school group of buddies, he always gets out of his car with his shirt off, and he's perfectly in shape. And he's the
Oh
one
my-
that's, yeah, he's one of those guys.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I always see those guys in Richmond. And I just want to barf on them.
He'd be into it.
Oh God.
So that should be a sufficient enough.
Yeah.
Roast.
Abuse,
Yeah.
roast.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's
All
good.
Y'all are dumb as fuck. That's what.
And we dislike all of you. Great.
And you're
Um,
kind of hot.
Yes. We will hook up with you and forget about you the next day.
Yeah. We'll regret it.
Yeah. You probably have a lot of DJ tri-types in your past that you regret. That's how it goes. All right, so getting on to our one fixers, and something before we get into the actually that I wanted to bring up that I think is interesting and has become more apparent to me in doing this series is the role of the body fix.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And how, like, I don't know, just how strongly the body fix shows up no matter what the trifix is. So like, even if we're talking like a 4, how the 4 is energized or fueled is going to really show up from the body fix.
Mhm.
And so I think like when I was reviewing the last call, it was like we went back to the body energy just intuitively all the time because the body energy was what was fueling the other fixes. The emotional fix and the mental fix. And I don't know if you guys have anything more to say about it, but I thought that was just interesting.
Yeah, I think we should do a call where we just talk about trifix in general because I think a lot of people that have been enjoying this series are still like, how do I figure out what my fixes are? And some people have been able to do that from these roasts, but just like getting into each center and
Mm-hmm.
talking about like some of the energetic qualities of each of the fixes would be cool. But yeah, that was a really good insight for me because I recognize as a body type that what I do notice about people is where they're energetically sitting in the body center. Like it's the first thing that I noticed. Like one has a rigid, tense energy, and 9 is sort of like a swirly kind of cream, and 8 just has like it's like a springy sort of potential for chaos and force kind of a feel to it. But it's like a vibe. You walk into a room,
Yeah.
I need to know where the 8 and 8 fixtures are. Like I need to feel that. It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's a really cool distinction. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I like that idea of having another full-on focus call and getting like, because one time you posted something that I thought was a really great summation, and then I know David's got a lot of content on the stems and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that'd be a good call to do.
Yeah.
All right, 147. We call 147 the princess and the pea, and you got 3 frustration types. 1, 4, and 7 are all frustration types, and so there is a lot of dissatisfaction, a lot of being against. Even the 7, which you would think would make it more buoyant, it's there's a kind of like, let's go, let's get to it, let's make it happen, let's make it move. A lot of impatience, and there is a lot of like manic anticipation of something, but it's not like a joyful movement towards something. It's more like a fuck everything else. I want to get to this next possibility.
Pretty idealistic trifix.
One of my best friend is this trifix, and it's a lot of fun, but it's like certain faux pas or misunderstanding or something like that, and he gets very fucking pissed off. And what I find, he's a bartender, and one things I find he's a core 4, but I find very interesting is he's a pretty skinny dude, and I find that, and maybe it's my fix or my wing being a 5 wing or something. He's got a 3 wing, and he's a social type. But anyway, he'll throw people out of the bar on the regular. Like he's throwing people out, and I'm a little bit more like, I'll tell, like I'm not a bartender, but like when I've been in the service industry, I'll like tell somebody to stop or like put a boundary down, but I don't like expel them. But he will throw them out, and I think that is so funny, and I love it when he does. He's like, I hate Spanish people. It's like, people from Spain that, will just like not tip or whatever. And he'll just get like, try to like, start shit. And he'll just like, no, I'm throwing them out. It's time for you to go. I'm cutting you off.
So that frustration right there.
Yeah. Like can't take any bullshit. Their bullshit meter is like already full all the time.
Exactly.
So a couple of famous examples. Jordan Peterson is a pretty famous example of this trifix with the core 1 and social self-pres, and he's gotten famous for a lot of his angry statement he made about transgender or the gender pronouns, and so he became like a firebrand for a kind of, I don't want to say alt-right, but just
alt-right. I mean, he's a fucking idiot.
Alt-right adjacent, know.
No, he's definitely a pipeline. He's like, cultural Marxism is undermining the West. That's culture. If anybody says cultural Marxism, they're an alt-right person.
But on one hand, I thought he was interesting in terms of a cultural phenomenon, because this guy single-handedly garnered so much attention, and part of it is just the 4 and 7 fixes whip up a lot of interestingness around people. Pay a lot of money to go out to go see him at lectures, because he has a way of weaving a lot of interesting psychological things. Yeah, it's just, he's a really interesting character, but he also has a lot of problematic politics. But
one thing about him is, because as a core 1, it's interesting to think about, because he's got the integration and disintegration types, and so that's a weird and it creates a lot of drama, I think, and swings. And 7 and 4, that's a really dramatic polarity right there, right?
Yeah.
And he's also into like the big idea, like a 1 that's into the big, wild, new idea or whatever, even though a lot of his ideas are not new. You know what I mean? He's looking for the big splash.
And with the 4, he's pulling in some of that like dark, like part of what's appealing about him is that he does speak very frankly about dark forces in a way that I think when people are alienated, that it's like, well, no one else is talking about this in this way. And I'm not saying everything Jordan Peterson says is dumb. Like he's got there's a reason people like him, but he's got a way of bringing the darkness into the collective, in this compelling way, even though he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't look like he would sound like Kermit the Frog. Damn.
No.
Yeah.
Weird.
But he's got a lot of force in interviews I've seen. There's always people putting up interviews. Jordan Peterson owns Reporter, like, because he's good at debate, except when he's debating Zizek.
yeah. Watch the Zizek debate, and he just fucking is demolished.
Oh, is he? I haven't seen that one yet.
Zizek is like, name one of these Marxists that you're talking about, and like cultural Marxists, and he can't name anybody. And he's like, Jordan Peterson went from writing a book called 12 Rules for Life to being like eating an only meat diet and like being like addicted to painkillers and like rotting in some Russian hospital right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Some highs and
intense.
some lows.
It's some serious highs and lows.
The high of 7 and the low of 4.
Mhm.
yeah,
Boom,
you got the
boom.
addiction, you got the self-hatred, you got the morality, you got all of that in this tri-type right there.
I saw an interview with him where I was getting uncomfortable because he was just he was on the verge of breaking in tears for like 20 minutes and he
Oh,
broke.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, dude, can you go somewhere?
Pull yourself together.
Shit. Another one of this trifix that we all know and love is Prince, and we
Mm.
know
Oh, yeah,
we know what a big
totally.
brat and difficult human being he could be.
The prince and the P.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Well,
Like I didn't know how much of an asshole he was. Like just looking up videos and the way he treated other musicians and musicians that worked under his label. I'm like, this motherfucker right here.
big
critical.
entitlement, big brat, and then but also like aesthetically, his like frilly like he's a sexual self-pres, so he's not. It's not like social that he's drawing from to get that kind of royalty look. It's
Right.
the one-ish picky 4 with 3-wing refinement thing that's going on.
Mhm.
It's like you see the 1, and then you got the 7-ish. Like some of his, especially like as he got a little older, his outfits got pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like not like his old stuff is like more sexual and kind of provocative, and then as he got older, it just got goofy.
Yeah, I think he got into what Jehovah Witness
Yeah,
shit,
Hmm.
but of course he had the drugs in the background that nobody really knew about or knew how bad it was, and so that's what took him out.
right.
Anyway, this John's gonna love this next one.
So this next one, I call it the bigger pain, and this is
146.
yeah 146.
And why are you doing an Italian accent? I can't.
I
imagine
happen
why.
to be married to a big pain.
Oh
And,
man,
from Rome.
That must be horrible, John.
It is
that
awful.
must be.
It is really hard. She's very spoiled. One of my names for her is Monella, which in Italian means brat. And this tri-type is very funny because it's you've got the 2 frustration of 1 and 4, and both of those types are very specific and picky in different ways. And then you've got 2 reactive types, 4 and 6.
Mm.
And then you've got 2 super ego types of 1 and 6. And so it's just very somebody who's very specific and very picky, basically like a huge
Right.
pain in the butt.
Triple
Yeah.
critical is how I think of it.
Exactly. Yes. So Alaria is always like part of my dumb thing is I'm like, you don't really love me because he's like so like nitpicky and stuff like that. And she's like, no, John, that's the way I am. You deal with this.
I was trying to make the distinction because with all these one fixtures, there are a couple trifixes that are just super picky. But one thing that stands out to me about 146 is whenever you throw 4 into a trifix, it adds like a level of self-absorption that just really makes it
Mm.
this trifix more difficult than say like I don't know like a 126. It's not really wedded to as much of a moralistic external structure.
Right.
It's more like
Mm.
I think that you're fucking up,
Exactly.
and
And therefore you should.
therefore you should feel like shit.
It's highly subjective, and so you can never quite understand what their metrics are.
Right.
And so you're constantly kind of like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And it's always changing. And so some days it's like cool, and then some days whatever you're doing is like the worst thing ever.
Sort of a
Yes.
martyr thing too, right?
Mhm.
Sort of reverence for being a martyr somehow, or suffering. Like you
Yes.
could never understand my big pain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. You can't even understand. You can't grasp what I'm going through. You just need to continue to suffer under my criticism forever.
You'll never understand my big pain. And then it's one of the things that like I always imitate her, and so one of the ways I do is her no, I don't like
There's a lot
it.
of
No.
no. There's
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
of no. 1, 4, and 6 are all no.
Yeah, very this fussy. No, it's very cute.
One of my closest friends, Chisar, who I think some of you have seen video of her in a group.
Mhm.
She is this trifix, but as a 6 core. There's no other way to explain it. Just super picky about everything. Something's always terribly wrong, and she's the martyr in this situation. It's amazing to me sometimes of continuing situations so that she can continue to criticize someone who's done her wrong
And-
instead of just cutting it off.
And the 6 so like the 4 will be like this is tacky. Like all my subjective preferences are like really like I'm judging everything by my subjective preferences and
Yes.
taste, and aesthetics and art, how artificial things are, and then the one is morality and
Right.
how things should be, and like are you making sure to eat absolutely no meat this week or
Mhm.
whatever. But then the sixth thing is like everything in my life is going to go wrong too. So it's like not just these sort of subjective preferences. It's also like but life is fucking up too. It's
Yeah.
like that's where all the pain is coming from also.
I'm
Yes.
being targeted.
Right.
Yeah.
We know somebody who is also like that.
All right. 145
One for five, the Insectoid.
Do we have
Insectoid.
any famous people
Oh.
for 146?
Yeah, let me get you some
yeah.
famous people for 146.
Yeah.
I believe John Malkovich is this trifix as a
That makes sense.
core. We also have the comedian George Carlin.
Oh yeah.
There are a couple type 6 comedians that I feel have this trifix.
I think Larry David is this one.
Yes.
A
Mhm.
6, core 6.
Right.
Everything's going wrong. Everything's bad, and he's always creating the worst thing that
Yes.
can happen.
Right. But yeah, those are two good. I think Meryl Streep might be this is a core sexual core 164.
That could be. Mhm.
But yeah, those are some celebrity examples.
All right, 145, the Insectoid.
This one's pretty rare.
This one's pretty rare. I have a friend, Jamira, who was on our 5 call. It's this tri-type, and it is highly specific, but it's like the weirdness of 4 and 5, but the picky morality fussiness with the 1, and so it's sort of like where the useless beast has the 8 fix, and so it's like my weirdness that I'm kind of pushing onto things and pushing and kind of being forceful about. This is like having a highly, highly obscure and subjective vision that everything else is failing to live up to.
Yeah. Why did we give it the name Insectoid?
This chart type, at least for me, the Insectoid in sense of something very alien, but it's also like the alien quality of that 4-5 with the hard angles and the rigidity of the insect body, and I really think of like like a wasp sting or something like that,
Right.
or a praying mantis's long talons that like come out of the void and be like, no, that's not right. And you've got 2 competency types that can so 4 is not very expressive, despite what everybody says. Like they hide a lot of their expression. You can tell that they're feeling a lot, but it's like smoldering disdain. And then you got the 2 competency types. And so it's almost like how we talked with like Flatline, where there's a hidden thing about their emotionality. But here it's like there's there's 2 frustrations going on and 2 competency that's kind of holds it back. And so it's like just very sharp. Everything, every observation is sharp. Every critique is sharp. And like I'm not dragging Jamira if she ever listens to this, but like her art is like super refined and very delicate and very specific, and there's no chaos. I mean, there's chaos, but it's like very deliberate.
1 and 5 are really kind of micro, in terms of like 1 is anal, like detaily, right? And then 5 is, of course, granular, micro. Anyway, so that gets to insect, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Down in that world, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I didn't realize. These are probably the most self-specific in each center. 4, 5, and 1, like razor sharp in terms of making distinctions.
Sharp, yeah.
Yeah.
And all of them have a kind of microscopic view of their respective center.
Mm-hmm.
On my site, I've got the name, the reflective dissection. So dissecting gets some of that sharp.
And I think these 3 types also, in my experience, have been the most rare that I've come across in terms of just people that we run in life and on these fucking forums. I think we might have had one type 1 that had come to one of our groups, like maybe 1 that we've typed, and we already know how rare 4 and 5s are in general.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the rarest tri-type.
That's one thing to say about tri-type in general, maybe for that podcast that we eventually do, is that certain fixes are more rare. Right? Yeah.
No, every type is evenly distributed.
Why would that be?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense.
All right, 37. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt that everybody of the 1 through 7 tri-type fantasizes about having a TED Talk or TED Talk adjacent kind of inspiring uplifting, innovative talk where they're wearing some kind of like I think like the material is like a tweed sports coat with like a
There you go.
buttoned, it's like a colorful but tasteful shirt underneath,
Yeah.
and they've got the little like the microphone attached to their head, and they're like their arms are out and open, and they are projecting the goodness of the one and the idealization of the seven and the sense of inspiration of the three.
Mhm.
And so this type, it's like they're looking for the TED Talk without having anything to say at the fucking TED Talk.
Steve
This is like-
Jobs, I think, was
Oh, yeah,
his
Steve
number.
Jobs.
And that's how he would do all the product rollouts, would be a TED Talk style.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you're
I
right.
hate Steve Jobs. God,
Yeah.
one of
This
the
is
most
like-
overrated fucking human beings in history.
Yeah.
Total idiot.
Tell us how you really feel.
I just hated how like for like 5 years everybody just
yeah.
worship of fucking Steve Jobs because he stole a bunch of people's ideas and knew how to TED Talk it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the Chad that's a visionary.
But usually without content. It's like all that 1, 3, 7 stuff. It's like, okay, I know where this needs to go, but I don't know what I'm taking there. And so like Steve Jobs had to rip off a bunch of other people basically and be like, look at what we're doing to improve the world, but we're not really improving anything.
I don't know that story. Did he rip off all the ideas for iPod, iPhone?
Well, no, not necessarily. I read his bio, and back at the height of his, I think it was pretty close after his death. Like people were just worshiping him so much, and his bio came out, and I was so disappointed. Like he's I would say that he's just a highly aggressive person who had some ability to capitalize on what he thought consumers would want. So he just
Mhm.
get like interesting people in house, like like certain designers. Like he had at least a sense of technology doesn't have aesthetics, and so he brought those people in, and he would just drive them up the wall, and just make them do things that I need you to put a wheel on this thing, just like and then people would figure it out. But
Seven
no,
with
I
an
just
eight
I just
ring.
hated him as a person. I just thought he was a horrible human being, and he had a lot of shady business tactics and personal tactics, and just horrible person.
A lot of tantrums and shit.
Yeah, but I will give him credit that he had some vision as to what technology could do in terms of we can go this other route where things can be aesthetically beautiful, but in terms of creative, like the god status that he had, I walked away from that book just feeling like this guy's a fucking sham in terms of how much acclaim and praise that he gets. He doesn't deserve it.
Definitely. But yeah, this tri-type, it's like the mixture of bringing goodness or bringing something new or inspiring to the world gets really mixed up with narcissism.
Yes.
7 can, 3, everybody's familiar with their issues around narcissism, but when you got the 7 in there, sort of like with the DJ tri-type,
Yes.
it's like, there's a lot of narcissism that's disguised through being playful or fun or whatever, and so it's like you can overlook it, and so all that energy together, and they probably do have, with the 1, they probably have some genuine good things that they're hoping for, but it becomes very co-opted by my vision. I'm the creator or the generator or I'm the guy that you're going to send on stage.
One has that voice of God thing, right? So combine that with 2 narcissistic types, right?
Right.
So but I do know an example that we all would appreciate and love, like some other celebrity examples of this. Elon Musk, I don't really like, but he's a visionary. Richard Branson but they're both 7s. Richard Branson and Elon Musk are known publicly as being like sort of cool entrepreneurs,
I
that
despise them.
But behind the scenes, these are still fucking capitalists that fucking just run people over, to make a profit. You don't get there by being nice. But I watched a documentary about Alejandro Jodorowsky and his failed attempt to make Dune, and just I was trying to figure out his trifix when I watched that, and I came away that he had this trifix because he has like a hustler, welcome to my TED Talk kind of way that he gathered all these artists, like unprecedented, talented group of people.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And he would just go and pitch every single one of them. It's like, we're going to change the world. And like, he has this, incredible ability to get people fired up. But he also had one thing that I want to say about this trifix is that there's a way that they have a natural ability to design
Yes.
and to imagine the future. And like the crazy thing about Jodorowsky is that he mapped out that whole movie on not vision boards, but storyboards. He storyboarded the entire movie,
Mhm.
every single scene. And it seems like people that have this trifix can build scenes fully formed.
It's a designer. Yeah, it's totally like architectural 3D kind of mind
Right.
style. Yeah.
Yeah.
It blew me away that Jodorowsky had that artistic ability that he could just map out an entire movie before it was made, like the entire book of every single scene. And that movie became the seed for a lot of the sci-fi Star Wars, and those artists went on to work on
I mean,
other big
Alien,
franchises. Yeah, Alien.
Blade Runner, maybe was part of that mix too.
Yeah, but it was just so incredible that he was such a maniac, like a promotional welcome to my TED Talk maniac, that he could get anybody to sign on to this crazy fucking project that eventually Hollywood wouldn't give him the funding to do.
Yeah, the Holy Mountain is one of my favorite movies, and but then he also writes like the Incal, like these amazing comics, and then he's got all this magic shit and tarot card stuff, and yeah, if for listeners, definitely watch, no matter how you feel about whatever we're saying, definitely watch Jodorowsky's Dune, because it's just such an amazing documentary.
Yeah. I feel like anytime you put 1 and 3 together, you get some like very big ideas and like clear ideas. They have that kind of like visionary, just like up in the sky.
I'm
Like,
gonna build toward my vision.
yeah,
Mhm. Good.
always inspiring.
And the
And they have
competency
ability
to
to-
follow through.
Exactly. That's
yeah.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Lenny Kravitz probably has this trifix, and he has like his own interior design firm. I didn't even know that, but he has like, and if you see the designs that he works on, like he has an aesthetic, and whatever you imagine a Lenny Kravitz interior aesthetic would be, that's exactly what it looks like. So I mean, he has like some abilities to just get into that world and make that. I feel like whenever you have, like you said, 1 and 3, and then 7, like these fully formed visions, and then the competency to make it a reality.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that they can have their own like very specific flavor too. Like like if there was a core 3, I feel like they could have some pretty cool specific flavors and not be kind of lost in the mix.
That's true, because 1 and 7 are specific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
1, 3, 6. We call this the middle manager. Is that the accurate, correct name?
Yes.
Oh man, I know
Middle
one of these.
manager.
I know one of these people.
Oh my gosh.
What is this? Is this triple controlling? Is this is like the sergeant master kind of a thing, right?
It's like a drill sergeant.
yeah.
I know the way that everything must be done. It's super work oriented.
We got
Right,
that 3-6
1
them.
Oh, yeah.
3, and 1 is a worker. You know,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing for the good, and
And then 3 and 6. Oof.
yeah,
This might be the work. I mean, more than 3-6-9. This might be the work ethic trifix.
Yeah.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Well, I
This
think
guy
this would
did
be the
not
one
stop.
that, yeah, I think this would be the one that just like doesn't have a family because they only work.
No, that's exactly this guy that I worked with. It's not
Yeah.
even funny. I mean, people used to make fun of him, like, when does that guy sleep?
Well,
It's one of those work.
they're gonna have a family, but they're gonna lose that family because they work.
Yeah,
too much.
that's exactly. Yeah.
And that's exactly what was happening with this guy.
Yeah. I think one of my managers was this tri-type or trifix.
Yeah, no, they'd love to manage.
It was miserable. It was miserable working for him.
I have a friend who's a sexual type 3, who's this type, and without saying too much about her, I know that she is very micromanaging of her partner.
Micromanaging. That's what the word. That's the word
That's
we're looking
perfect.
for.
Yeah,
Oh my God! This is from that Office movie. It's like, I'm gonna need you to get that TV.
Office Space. Office Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If, I'm gonna need
Okay.
you to get that done.
Yeah,
That would be
this
great.
this tri-type
That'd be
can get
great.
really bland.
Yeah.
Because it can get so invested in the work that the personality becomes around the work, and then what else is going on in the personality? It's just like
That's it.
internalizes all that stuff and finds that right direction and right role like the 1 and the 6 and 3 can be really in different ways about right role, like whether it's like social role or professional role, or how me and you are doing as partners.
Yeah, standards.
Yeah, standard, and it's almost like a preset vision for how interpersonal dynamics are going to go.
You guys know about my 8 sister, but I have a 3 sister who has this trifix, and she is a really difficult person to deal with because she has these standards for, she's a social type, how people should relate to her. And once you cross a certain line, like she gets so upset and she cuts people off. Her life is like, if you look at her Instagram, it's like a fucking Oprah lifestyle magazine or something.
Yeah, no, I couldn't believe it when you showed me how
It's
it
like-
looks like she's in a magazine, all like she doesn't leave the magazine.
Exactly. Like, you know,
She
she
exists in a
travels a
magazine.
lot. And sometimes you're like, you know, this person likes to travel, but a lot of times I feel like you're traveling so you can get these magazine photos from all
Right.
these exotic locations. She goes out to brunch and dinner every week, but she has these perfect photos of her just, you know, dressed to the nine with her friends, and it's like you just have such a great life. But it just feels like certain standards have to be met. People need to behave a certain way. I need to have the right apartment, the right, you know, just. But there's an anxiousness there of
Yeah.
am I meeting those standards?
Mhm.
And so it's uptight because
Yeah.
of the 6.
A lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like they're like tight up in the like upper chest area. Like they hold all of it, like never really breathing. They're like
Mhm.
in that number.
And that's why it's like it remains a middle manager, because in the middle of a company, that's where the most anxiety is. Like you need somebody who's going to keep the underlings in line, because when you get to the upper level, there's a lot more power plays involved. These people are just trying to keep order in line, and that's what this trifix is good at.
Yeah, they kind of almost like having their face near the dirt, you know, like
Yeah.
Mhm.
they like being preoccupied on some level, like it's familiar. And like if they had that kind of being at the top where you, like you said, it's not necessarily more relaxed, but it's less anxious, and there's more of these sort of pushing and things like this going on.
That's part of the 6 thing, right? It's
Right.
staying in the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some famous examples? Let's see.
Hmm.
Martha Stewart.
Oh.
She's a 1.
Yeah. Pretty sure that this is her trifix.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Whatever you think Hillary Clinton's type is, this is
Yeah.
her trifix.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
have disagreements. I think she's a 3. Other folks here think she's a. I mean, I think she's a 1. 3. I think she's a self-pressed 3, and then some folks think she's a 1.
Yeah, I think she's a 1 with this trifix. This trifix is probably not going to be, I don't want to say suited, but necessarily overly inclined to chaotic world of artistry and creativity. Not
Yeah.
to say that if you have this trifix that you can't be a great artist, but it's probably unlikely.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the emptiest of ones. Like they have like no emotion.
Damn.
Ooh.
Sorry, but
Went
it's
hard
kind
in
of
the
true.
paint.
Say what you really think.
Well, I just feel like, you know, that 3 keeps them just totally locked away from their emotions. So they try to be like, especially like a core 3.
Yeah.
Like they try to be like genuine, but then you're just like, ugh. Like it's like, ooh.
Nancy's
Like a-
manager really.
Yeah. It's like a
Just
crab
left
trying
a
to give you a
bad
hug.
taste.
You're just like, oh God, this is terrifying. Yeah.
Tell us
big
where it
bad
hurts.
taste.
Tell us where it hurts.
Big bad taste. Terrible manager. Go ahead.
All right. So
Next
next one
up.
is 135, the Robocelibate. Love this name.
Robocelibate. Yeah, that's
a pretty
good.
great name.
This is like in each center, this is the most systematic type of each center.
All the competency types.
Triple competency, triple let's find a solution to this. John, you were posting some memes in the chat that were hilarious of RoboCop showing up. I'm here to not fuck.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's like Robocelibate. I am here to not fuck.
On duty.
Yeah.
Duty. But I think the celibate thing, there's the thing about 1 that anytime you have 1 and sexual instinct together, it seems counter to each other, because the sexual drive is so loose and chaotic, and 1 is about order and restriction. And so whenever you put that together with 3 and 5 are, focused on productivity. And that's just not, that's very dry. This trifix is so robotic that you can't imagine sex and this trifix together abstractly, that it doesn't mix. So it's just such a robotic trifix that it's like, this is the Robocelibate.
Sort of object oriented rather than people oriented. You know what I mean? Or task.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no sex in that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the
Dead or
trifix
alive, we are not fucking.
this is a trifix that would replace a human wife with a robotic blow-up doll. This would be the first one to do so.
One of the names I've got on my site is the skilled apparatus.
That's
sounds
Well,
like
even when they fuck, it's like, I am ready for sexual function, dear.
Push the button.
Even with
Are you coming? Are you coming? Are you coming?
even with like Zuckerberg with the one wing, like it still comes through in a big way with him.
True. There you go.
Just the roboticness.
935. Yeah.
Any famous people?
Famous.
Let's see. Let us see. What are some robotic?
I bet a lot of academics are this.
Oh, Tim Ferriss might be. I think he's a core 3. Tim Ferriss. A lot of people know who he is. Yeah, I think he's 5 fixed. Yeah, actually, I think he is this trifix. And if you've read any of his books, he's extremely systematic, New York bestseller, and he's somehow hacked the like life hacks, that whole thing. He's real big on that, and he's sort of done that to the book promotion game. But if you've ever watched any videos of him, he's a extremely detail-oriented, specific, somewhat robotic kind of person.
A skilled apparatus.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's pretty robotic.
Yes.
I always like to look up pictures of these people that you guys talk about because I never know who they are, and then I just look at them and I'm like, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But a cool example as a 5, a sexual 5, I think Tilda Swinton is this trifix.
That makes some sense.
Yeah, she. If you've watched any interviews of her, she's very sharp, 5 wing 6, and she feels 1 and 3 fixed.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
But yeah, she's a great artist.
What's her
sexual social?
Interesting.
Yeah. Another example of a sexual type who probably has this trifix is not super famous, but Vincent Castle. It's a sexual 1, sexual self-pres 1.
He was in Black Swan, or what was that?
Yeah, that guy.
All right.
Moving on.
What do we got?
127, the cool teacher.
The cool?
Where did we come up with this name?
I mean, if you've had a cool teacher, they were this type. And I have a friend, I don't remember who came up with this, but after it was christened the cool teacher, I realized my friend, who is a cool teacher, is tri-type. Colleen's husband.
Okay.
7 pod. It's like the one, like, education and teaching and betterment is still there, but with a little bit of like a 7 chill vibe, and the 2 also, it's like, I want to help, I want to better, I want to give attention to people, and the 7 and 2 are both optimistic type.
2 is also parenting-ish.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like the 2 and 7 together give like the 1 kind of a cheesy cheesiness. Where like the cool teacher,
Positive.
you're always like, that's a little cheesy, like
dad jokes.
Yeah, dad jokes. Where you're
totally.
just like, oh, they're trying, but cringy.
Yeah, Mary Cloud's dad, who's a core 2, was a teacher in my high school, and Mary was on the 1 pod. Her dad, Ficus, knew Riso, Don Riso, when they were in the Jesuits, and so that's sort of like, that way is how I got the Enneagram. But he was the cool teacher, and was a little irreverent, but also like very principled and moral, but could go to that 7 place pretty easily. And yeah, it was just, with these cool teachers, it's like they can unbutton the first button of their shirt, and like they'll sit on a desk when they talk,
Do they have youth leader shoes?
Yeah, like comfortable, but like actually kind of stylish. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And
conversely, are a little tight.
Conversely, I've got a 7 with a 6 friend who's this tri-type, and it makes him not as cool of a 7, right? Right, because he's like, I mean, he's the 7 that
He's the least cool 7.
that teaches little league or whatever,
Aw.
right?
Wow.
Instead of partying or whatever kind of 7 cliches you want to throw.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The 1 and 2 fixes. Anytime you have 2 super ego fixes, you are not cool.
Quite the opposite.
Opposite. Oh, I can't wait for 126. There are no famous people for 127, by the way. I think this is probably one of the more non-celebrity type trifixes in terms of.
But you knew him at your high school.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
I wonder if that
High school.
Brene Brown woman might be this, a core
Ooh.
7 with this and 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, that I'm just looking at her, just scanning through, and
I think she's a core 7, and that would make sense.
this is making sense. Yeah, that's a good example. So, 126, the Ballbuster. Okay, boomer.
Yeah. So for the ladies, we got Ballbuster, and for the fellas, y'all are okay boomers.
Mhm.
And I think that this distinction makes sense from the point of view that these are all 3 superego types, but like superego coming from a man definitely has that like out of touch okay boomer. I still tuck in my polo shirts kind of vibe.
I fuck with my socks on, kind of
Tall
vibe.
white, tall white suit socks.
My
That's what I was
white
about
socks.
to say.
My
Yeah.
white socks.
It's sandals.
Okay, I keep the underwear on, and we do it through the hole.
I do
Better
everything
traction.
right. Yeah. And for the Ballbuster, it's like they can easily inhabit the nagging partner kind of mode where it's like everything is not right and it's always got to be done according to how it should be done.
Right. Moral standards. This is the anti-sex, drugs, rock and roll trifix. This is the anti. This is the masturbation will make you blind trifix. This is the show me your porn search history trifix.
Oh, God.
Elizabeth Warren is a good
Oh yeah, totally.
Ballbuster.
This is the sex is just for procreation trifix.
Like
think about how she was with Bloomberg.
Oh God, yeah.
Ballbuster.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't like Warren. She's too liberal for me. But like, she did really good there, where she did bust balls like she should have. But then, but her affect was very this kind of dorky by the book kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
That just made her like kind of cringy.
Yeah, I think what triggers me about this trifix is just
This is a safe space.
it's just the level of adherence to moral standards, overly like just these rules that exist that society somehow decided we should all live by, goodness and morals. And just it's a very people oriented trifix, which means that they focus their energy in terms of correcting people on telling people how they should live. You should do things this way. No, the fuck I will not. Like
that 2-6 is real. That is really people-y.
Yeah. So yeah, the corrections get aimed at the people around them.
When they're younger, like there's a generational difference for sure. Like older 126s are like a whole thing, and the younger ones get a little bit of like, I don't mean type 1s, I mean younger 126s. They'll have this thing where they'll be like, I was real bad back in high school. I had sex. It's like there's a little bit. It's like tee, like I was so bad. Kind of quality.
Tee naughty.
Yeah. One time, I want to go.
I smoked a cigarette behind.
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
But now,
one time,
addiction is bad. Okay.
And I get it because I've been there. Because one time I smoked a cigarette.
Yeah.
Our buddy Bernie Sanders, though,
is also
yep.
Very rigid and always sort of like unable to just fucking relax. And
anyway, I think that we've made them suffer enough.
Mm-hmm.
Got one more left. 125, the friend zone. I don't remember how we came up.
I don't know that one.
Why did we name it the friend zone?
Well, I mean that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I guess with 1 and 5. It's pretty rigid, and then 2 is
gonna like help you out, but like from afar because 5.
Well, it's sort of it's like there's a lot of helpful goodness energy and then withdrawn energy. It's like it
And
wants connection and it wants to be friendly, but it doesn't have any of that kind of edge or anything.
mhm,
Or
It's like
it's
Mm,
rigid or machine-like because it's 1 and 5, right?
one,
yeah.
right.
And it
and
doesn't
1
have.
and 2 superego types too. So the moral kind of let's make space for Jesus kind of a thing. Let's take it slow and
Oh yeah,
be in his friend
true.
I
zone.
mean, this trifix could easily be nice guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Good
Mhm.
Mm.
guy. Where it's like like the 2, it's like I'm either 2 in here and with the 5 is like I'm either 2 out. And so it's like this thing where it's not like just cool, you know? It's
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little weird with the rigidness of the 1 and specificity of the 5
Mm-hmm.
and
the
super niceness of the 2. So you're just like, "Ugh."
the character from that, what was it fucking show? Like on Netflix, it's about
Oh.
this killer guy that like gets infatuated.
Oh,
That
yeah.
show, it's like the main character is a 2, but he's like weirdly private and bookish and keeps people in his basement. But then he's always like very friendly and like I'm gonna learn all the right things to do and all this kind of stuff. And then I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
easy example of this try time.
Yeah, from the perspective of a core 2, this would be like the more intellectual 2 for one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
So-
you could say that this is the guy, this is the trifix that would use the friend zone as a seduction tactic.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
What?
Yes, like the guy who's gonna just be your friend and stay in the
Oh,
friend zone and wait and just be I think that I haven't seen the show You, but I'm guessing that that's the way the guy operates. That he's so sweet and non-threatening, and it's like that's the way he gets girls to eventually fall in love with him.
and then
But
go into his basement and die.
yeah. But I mean, I think there are a lot of guys that use the friend zone or just posing as
doesn't
a
work.
friend as a seduction. Yeah, it doesn't work, but it does work for some people. I
Well, okay, for all the people listening, if you're trying that as a seduction, don't do it. It doesn't work.
Well,
Just shoot your shot.
It works perfectly.
in terms of just like hanging around, just being just like being there. I've seen guys just be in the friend zone and wait until the girl's relationship disintegrates, and they're the shoulder to cry on. And next thing you
Well,
know,
yeah, okay. If you're
maybe-
there after the breakup, yeah, that works.
Well, 2 and 5 are going to be very helpful, in in air quotes. But it's like even though 5 is withdrawn, it's still like a rejection type that's trying to offer something. But like
Mm-hmm.
the 1 makes it appropriate, and so it's like not going to like make a move in kind of a bold way. It's going to be
Right.
sort of like trying to read the right way to go about something and the right way to express affection or interest or anything like that. And so it ends up feeling stilted and kind of weird. And the 5 and 1 get kind of this mixture of schizoid stuff and rigidity.
Anti-self-indulgent.
Yeah.
So they just wait until they're 80 and
They're
then
just waiting.
want to move in together.
I gave you comforting hugs. Will you respond?
In some
I
form.
bought your groceries. Will you respond?
Will you please text me back?
I was there for years while you had an abusive boyfriend. Will you consider me as a boyfriend?
Mhm.
Maybe, possibly, please.
Possibly.
What about a woman that's this?
Ooh.
This is a good librarian type, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Helpful
Librarian
librarian.
woman. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the sexy librarian, helpful
Not
librarian.
the sexy librarian. No.
She could be sexy. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but she wouldn't know it, I don't think.
No. No. I don't
Thanks
think
for-
girls usually use the friend zone seduction.
No.
They don't
We
do
ain't
that.
got time for that shit.
No.
Plus, we have
But
too many options.
I could see a woman of this trifix like just not getting into relationships much, like
Yeah. Don't have any famous people of this trifix. Is probably pretty rare in terms of celebrities.
Well, yeah, 5 in general.
Yeah. 5'2", anything.
Yeah.
But that's the last one. We're done.
Yay. Bedtime?
Of course. Nancy's ready to knock out. Do you really sleep this early?
Yeah, I go to bed at 10:30.
Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
I mean, I can't do anything until like 3 p.m. and then after 6 p.m. I like can't do anything else except creative stuff. And so like I have this very limited window of being human. And then I stay up till 4:30 in the morning and repeat the cycle.
That's a very useless beast.
Yeah. I spent like an
just-
hour and a half this morning thinking about if an AI could look at my porn history and design exactly what I was attracted to. And I started looking through all the porn that I've been watching. It was like, could a computer? I did that for an hour and a half. That's what I did.
Just Emma had a porn review.
It's like, could
I
you
guess I got to go over this again.
Oh darn it!
an excuse to look at my porn history? I was like, that's a useless beast for you right there. Like, I waste my life doing shit like that.
Yeah, I was almost thinking that, like, I don't remember what we said about useless beasts as a trifix, but people listening, all the little pain piggies out there, have been loving the deficiency and humiliation that comes up from hearing these trifixes. And even for me, like, having just useless beasts in mind, I was like, God damn it, I am so fucking useless. Like, just having that in mind, like, even though I don't think we roasted the 458 that much.
Well,
but-
yeah, we had a difficult time even coming up with the name because a lot of the quote unquote negative traits of this thing people would twist into a positive thing, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
the
yeah.
badness or the darkness of it or whatever.
Yep.
But I think the thing that really hits me because it's something it doesn't feel like anything I have to offer is anybody gives a shit about, and it's a thing that's been haunting me my whole life. How do you convert any of this interestingness to anything that's worth anything?
When you're around 458, it just seems like a lot of intensity, but like, what the fuck are they doing? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, kind of like, it doesn't feel like you're a loser in the sense that, like, you can't do anything because it's like, well, I know that person's talented and has a lot
Right.
to offer, but it's like they're just so insularly sucked into their own fucking thing.
I have a long list of things that I want to look into that I can't talk to anyone about because it's only useful to me, and it's not even useful. It's just this is just like interesting shit that might turn into something or not, and I can spend a whole weekend
It's
doing
not contributing to anybody. Or
No,
anything,
it's not
right?
contributing anything to anyone.
Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a 6'4" parlor. I wish I was like 6'9" so I could get with Leoshi, cause she don't know me, but yo, she's really fine. You know, I see her all the time, everywhere I go, and even in my dreams, I can scheme a way to make her mine. Cause I know she's living fat. Her boyfriend's tall and he plays ball, so how am I gonna compete with that? Cause when it comes to playing basketball, I'm always last to be picked, and in some cases never picked at all. So I just lean up on the wall or sit up in the